I am so excited. I finally made it to the foothills of the Himalaya mountains. The best place to start any trip to Pokhara is on the shores of the beautiful Fewa Lake. The eastern shore of the lake features a very long promenade and is the gathering place for tourists and locals. The Lakeside neighborhood is the center of activity in Pokhara. From here you can take boat trips, relax in a cafe or restaurant, and even brave the rides at Pokhara Disneyland. Fewa Lake is the second largest lake in Nepal and the largest in the Pokhara area. Surrounded by the Queen's Forest, you can just see the peaks of the dramatic Annapurna mountain range in the background. There are also many trails that lead to higher grounds up through this densely forested area. So we rented one of these colorful little boats called a dunga. You can rent dunga boats and foot pedal boats all along the lake shore. You can get them with a driver that does the paddling for you, or just rent one and paddle yourself. We're on our way over to the Tal Barahi island. This is the most sacred religious site in Pokhara, and you can only get there by boat. We also had to rent life jackets. They're mandatory, 10 rupees each. So we're on our way to Tal Barahi. The island is very small, and the temple of Tal Barahi is, actually there's not much to it for such a sacred spot, but there is a lot going on out there. There's a DJ, there's dancing, there's offerings being made of butter candles and split coconuts. Actually, I'm glad that's all they were offering today, because during the festival of Dechenling, they actually do small animal sacrifice like chickens and goats and things like that. I have no problem with that, but I am glad today it was just coconuts. Every evening near the dock, across from Island Temple, people gather to watch the Pashupati Arati ceremony. During the religious ceremony, lights with wicks soaked in ghee are lit and offered up to one or more deities. This musical Aarti is performed here at the Lakeside every single evening, as well as in 36 other locations around Nepal. The ceremony is fascinating to watch and feels like a celebration culminating with dancing. If you've watched very many of our videos, you know I like a nice cable car ride and take one whenever I get the chance. So I was pretty excited to learn that there was a new cable car system here in Pokhara, the Annapurna Cable Car. It opened in February of 2022. The starting point is at Seti River Gorge, near the Lakeside in Pokhara, which starts at about 2,700 feet in elevation. The end point is up at Sarangat, at 5,250 feet elevation. The cable car ride is great, and only $9 round trip for foreigners. But this trip is all about the views from the top. This is my first time seeing the Himalaya mountains, and I am blown away by the size and the grandeur of them. I know it doesn't come across in the video how big these mountains are. I've never seen anything like this. At the top, there is a ridge you can walk to take in the breathtaking views. There is also a temple from which you can get views of the Annapurna Range from one side and Pokhara and Fewa Lake from the other side. I strolled around up here for several hours, taking in the surrounding countryside. You can also relax in one of the many cafes and restaurants with the mountains towering above you. With 600,000 residents, Pokhara is the second largest city in Nepal, right behind Kathmandu. Pokhara is considered the tourism capital of Nepal and the gateway to the Annapurna mountain range. The Annapurna region regularly sees well over 20,000 trekkers per year. There are also 375 hotels catering to international tourists. Getting to Pokhara can be an adventure in itself. I could have taken a quick 25-minute flight from Kathmandu for about $100, but I chose to take the bus for $15. The bus itself was very comfortable, but what was billed as a 7 to 8 hour journey ended up taking nearly 18 hours. It was an extremely long day. It took about an hour just to get out of Kathmandu. Then the road quickly climbed into the mountains. We were stopped for long periods of time due to construction, road accidents, and even a landslide. We were in no hurry, but we did see a few wedding parties trying their best to navigate through the bottleneck. The entire length of the road from Kathmandu to Pokhara is under reconstruction. I'm sure it'll be great once it's complete, but until then, prepare for a slow journey. I'm still undecided as to how I'm getting back to Kathmandu. Towering above Pokhara on the hillside is the Lord Shiva statue Pumdikot. This handsome statue sits at around 4,900 feet above sea level. The Hindu temple stands at 108 feet high, and the Shiva statue itself is 51 feet high, but it looks much bigger from where I'm standing. The statue itself was built in Mathura, India, and brought here to the hilltop outside of Pokhara. This is an active Hindu temple and sees many daily worshippers and religious activities. On a clear day, you can enjoy the magnificent view of the Himalayas, the lake, and the city. This temple is free to enter. It's open 365 days a year from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. I took a 25-minute taxi ride up to the giant Shiva statue. But from here, I'm going to hike down to the World Peace Pagoda and enjoy the stunning views of the beautiful Pokhara Valley on the way. I followed the road and took my time getting down to the Peace Pagoda. The views from here are magnificent as you look down upon terraced farmland and ancient river valleys. The hike from Pumdikot to the Peace Pagoda ended up taking me about 45 minutes. It's only 8 a.m., but it's already warming up very nicely. So luckily I brought my trusty umbrella to keep the sun off. The first of 2 World Peace Pagodas constructed here in Nepal stands 115 feet tall. This was the 71st pagoda built by the Nipponzan Myohoji, a Japanese religious group founded in 1917, actively engaged in the worldwide peace movement. I just hiked over from the Pumdikot giant Shiva temple to here, the Shanti Stupa, also known as the World Peace Pagoda, a Buddhist monument to peace. I've already been through it and it is beautiful. but you're not allowed to take video in there, but I did get a lot of nice photos. The second tier contains 4 statues of the Buddha that were gifts from Japan, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Nepal itself. They laid the cornerstone for this pagoda, which contains relics from the Buddha, in 1973. Due to some not-so-peaceful government interference, the pagoda took 18 years to finally be completed. I am hiking back down the mountain. There are several trail options to get up to the Peace Pagoda. There's a trail coming from the Fewa Lake Dam, and there's another trail starting at the lake. I'm taking the trail back down to the lake, where I will take a boat across back to Pokhara. Luckily, so far the trail has been in the shade, so it's been a nice, easy hike. This is a little bit further of a hike down to the lake than I thought it was going to be, but I have to say, it is very beautiful looking down on the lake and the valley from up here. So I made it back down to the lakeside from the top of the hill, and it was a pretty good hike down, I have to say. I had to rest for a little bit, had some lunch. Now I'm in a boat going back across the lake to the Pokhara city side. Ride across the lake cost about $2.50. Even though we're not in the monsoon season yet, Pokhara has already seen some big rains, so I thought this would be a great time to check out a famous waterfall. I went to Devi's Waterfalls this morning, which is said to be very impressive in the rainy season, but it's the end of the dry season, so it wasn't. And then I went on down the road to the caves, and the waterfall goes underground and flows over to these caves, through the caves. Caves were very nice, but they didn't allow photography. So I thought, wow, what a bust, what a waste of a morning. But then we decided to follow the water to where it would come out, and it comes out right over here at the confluence of these 2 rivers. And there's this awesome suspension bridge here that gives you a beautiful view of this valley and the rivers, and it is really nice out here. This was a pretty cool spot to relax for a while, but on the other side of Pokhara, there is a much, much longer and higher suspension bridge. This morning I headed over to the Seti River Gorge, the site of the massive, super long Bhalam suspension bridge, which spans the stream before it runs into the Seti River. This suspension bridge, actually one of 9 new suspension bridges, is definitely worth a visit as you get great views of the gorge below. I love this suspension bridge. It's like an amusement park ride. Very close by is the Seti River, which originates from glaciers high up in the Himalayas before it disappears into a deep chasm that runs under Pokhara city. So deep and narrow in some spots that it's only 2 meters wide, but 20 meters deep. You can visit the Seti River at an aqueduct, where you can see the mineral-rich waters and the deep chasm below. The Seti River, also known as the Milk River due to its white color, is considered the holiest river in Nepal, and it runs by many religious sites found in the Hindu mythology. After reading the reviews, I wasn't expecting much from the Seti River Gorge, but it was really a cool place, and I've never seen anything quite like it. Getting around Pokhara to visit places like the Seti River is easy. Most of the city is walkable, But for longer excursions, you can take a bus, use a taxi, or get a taxi or motorbike through the rideshare app InDrive. The suspension bridge and the start of the Seti River Gorge are in a neighborhood called Deep. It's a pretty fair way over here from the center of Pokhara, but there is a lot to see, including the Royal Gurkha Museum. Gurkhas are soldiers traditionally recruited from the hills of Nepal, going back to the 8th century. Said to be naturally warlike and fearless in battle, they faced the British in 1814 in the Anglo-Nepalese War. The British admired the Gurkhas so much they were made part of the British Army and have served worldwide for over 200 years. Their motto is, "It is better to die than to be a coward." Since we've been in Nepal, a disabled Gurkha veteran has made history. Losing both his legs in Afghanistan, he became the world's first double above-the-knee amputee to summit Mount Everest. Sitting on a hillside and overlooking Pokhara's Lakeside area is the big golden Buddha of the Pema Dechenling Monastery, established in 2008 by the local indigenous people of Nepal, the Tamang community. The views from the monastery are spectacular, with the golden Buddha overlooking the city of Pokhara and Fewa Lake. And if you come up here early in the morning, you might just have these views entirely to yourself. Ever since I got to Pokhara, I've been watching people on the lake in these pedal boats, and it looks like so much fun. So this morning, I decided to rent one and take it for a spin. It is really peaceful out here on the lake this morning. I paid about $12 for a 1-hour rental, including life jacket. And there are official ticket booths, so you don't have to worry about haggling over the price. I travel full-time, and I've been on the road for about 2.5 years now. There are some places that it takes a little time to get comfortable with, and there are others that I've never felt a connection with. Pokhara felt both familiar and comfortable from the very first day I arrived here. Maybe it's the laid-back vibe after being in hectic Kathmandu, or maybe it's the natural scenery here, or maybe it's because there's so much to see and do here. I'm a little sad that I'll be leaving Pokhara soon, but I know I will be returning as the Himalaya mountains are calling my name. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment, and please subscribe, as there is so much more to come.